Hello everyone, this is Altar, and this segment is here to let you know that after about a year of producing content for Offworld Trading Company, Mohawk Games contracted me out to do some QA consulting work for them. This video was made during the time that contract was active. Thank you for listening. Please enjoy the video. Hello everyone, and welcome to game number 1 in our best of 3 series between PB Head and Death Tacticus. This is going to be one of our semi-final matches for Offworld Trading Company. Winner of this going on to face year-end in the finals. I'm going to keep saying it like that, and you can all deal with it. One geothermal vent on this map, and there's a high carbon tile.
A high carbon tile.
Scientific colony founded.
Look, whatever. DT, gonna take the nice scientific spot. This is a really nice scientific location in a lot of ways. 42k debt for that. PB going expansive.
Ooh,
Interesting.
Oh, could you have just got in any smaller of a location though?
Yeah, that's kind of a bit of my concern right now. I'm not seeing a lot of triangles. We can just leave it at that.
Wow, he's tied himself up tight there, hasn't he, with EMPs and slowdown strikes. Oh, you got to question that settle, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason I'm really concerned about it, because frankly, like, even this double iron, like, PB Head would be one of our players who can identify when he gets to go double iron on HQ1, right? Like, iron was at $50 because of DT buying it up to build these steel mills. It was actually a strong decision on his part, but now things look weird, because these steel mills are never going to be a triangle unless he scraps this iron. I mean, it's just not possible.
It's not, is it? I don't know, he's going to have to try and come down through that little gap somehow, but yeah, I wouldn't be very happy with that.
No, not really. 2 elemental quarries from DT, which I'm a little upset about in some ways because they're not going to do much. On the other hand, the thing is, they're basically free. So while you wait for the steel to get the glass furnace, yeah, go ahead, build a couple quarries, just scrap him the second he's got the steel, and that's exactly what he did.
Mm-hmm. Not a bad move. Not a bad move at all.
Speaking of not bad moves, always love seeing mutinies onto these early aluminum mines. Aluminum very, very expensive. Once again, DT showing that he is a contender. He is another strong player going to steal his opponent's equivalent aluminum mine rather than just reactively taking his own back. Always the correct decision when the tiles are pretty much equal in value.
Indeed. That's exactly the way to play that. Don't steal your own, steal his. Make full use of the time.
Man, speaking of steel, what are these players doing? $37 already.
Yeah, I think they're trying to sell each other out, aren't they?
Yeah, that's just going to keep going down. Now, PB does have a small power advantage, I would say, in that he can easily get into this geotherm up here. No scavenger. This map is going to be interesting, though, when it comes to the black market. No player's going to have a clear advantage in attacking the other.
No, is that the only geothermal on the map?
I do believe it was. There was only one when we checked earlier at the very start of the game. I do believe that's the only one that's available.
DT, Death Tacticus is going to have a real power problem, given the price of power.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I was honestly a little surprised that he scrapped the silicon as fast as he did, because once again, no pressure on glass from the colony. It only started at $80. It was never going to be super valuable. So now he's having to transition back into these elemental quarries. So he can try and pull in some silicon, see what's going to happen there.
Not a good move. No way
just
is that a good move.
Awkward. If he had just stayed in the quarries, I would have liked in a lot of ways to see him just stay in the quarries for quite some time until he had enough to maybe get down some solar panels, and then just switch to glass and stay in that permanently, not have to make this transition back and forth. It's just going to cost him time and money.
That's it. And he's going to be forced to move. He's moved into a couple of greenhouse farms, which not a bad move, but it looks ripe for an EMP, even though it's not going to be that effective because he's scientific. It's still going to hurt, and not moving into power is going to hurt given his debt.
Yeah, I imagine he's going to get some power down instead of maybe these silicon tiles will turn into solar panels. But man, there's going to be nighttime and an interest tick before that happens. And,
well, exactly, that's tomorrow he's looking at doing that, and well, he's going to get black marketed, no question.
Speaking of EMPs, though, nice one from DT, just right on top of PB. Looks like it was centered in a way, though. Okay, it was centered, it looks like, on this steel mill over in the corner. Not so sure about that one. Maybe would have been a bit better to be a bit patient, let PB finish getting his farms down, get that triangle established, then freeze that up instead.
Yeah, it was a tiny bit too quick, I think, on that.
Yeah, a little too quick, and I would say definitely mispositioned. DT says sigh. PB had it is worth noting, threw down Pirates earlier. D debt already. Got a 20% interest tick out of that. Solar panels up just in time to be completely non-functional.
They'll be going in the morning, though, but I can imagine PB is going to be doing whatever he can to shut them down. Maybe a slowdown strike. Maybe an EMP.
Yeah, PB now in the awkward position himself, though, of not having maybe as much power as he would like, not having as much access to power as he would like. $300 for that. PB is probably going to want to get down some solar panels or wind turbines. He's going to have to rely on the wind turbine. I think this is an acceptable decision right now. Carbon not too terribly expensive.
Yeah, not cheaper than silicon, so you can understand why he's gone for the turbines rather than panels.
Yeah, I think it's the right call. Plus, DT has access to silicon. You don't want to dump money into his pocket, and that's just a good decision all around, I think, to get this turbine up. Start knocking that power price down, and his debt's low enough, especially after that steel mill freeze, that he's going to be able to pay through it pretty quickly here. Start making some actual money.
Yeah. This could be an interesting auction.
Yeah, thinking machines. Ooh.
But DT with a $10 share price, I don't think he can push it very much at all.
That's the concern, right? I mean, what do you let this go for as PB?
Well, I think DT's got to push it up to 14 or 16 and then just let it go. Too low. Far too low. Could have pushed it a couple there.
But it's so dangerous as DT, just being in this position where he's already dying to debt so fast. These offices at the colony really got to pay attention to him. And like, do you have it in you to push it to 14,000 and just risk being stuck in D debt permanently? Because at least now he's gotten back to C and might manage to survive this game.
Yeah. What's the difference between 12 and 14, 16? It's not much, is it? You got to chance it, I think.
It's true. I do think it possibly would have been worth the risk, but I can understand that fear that goes into a decision like that one.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's a very fine line, and if you get it wrong, I mean, if he overpaid for it, we'd point it out. If he underpaid for it, we point it out. So
exactly. All right, slow down strike. Another important thing to note with our scientist here, by the way.
I do like this slowdown strike.
Yeah, it's just going to be reasonably effective. Obviously not hitting the solar panels right now, but hitting the reactors, always nice. Doesn't affect the power output of the reactor at all. It just says, this building's a little bit slower now.
The black market is online.
A good move.
Definitely, I think. DT did manage to hold on, so it was only a 10% interest tick. Saves him about $10,000 extra debt with that. So that's I think worth paying attention to. If DT had that 14,000 from thinking machines, he would have been stuck in C. Would have had a lot more debt than just that.
He would. And that's a nice slowdown strike. See, again, because PB is so compact in his HQ there, he's very vulnerable to not only the EMPs, but also the slowdown strikes.
Yeah, slowdown strikes would not mind potentially seeing network viruses as this game goes on. If PB has trouble keeping a hold of water, you can see he's already leaking 2 water a second right now. And that's potentially problematic.
And, I mean, if he did get network virused on his reactors, they're not making a huge amount of money, and water being a similar price as to O2 and fuel, vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. Would not mind potentially seeing a network virus there 13 seconds out from DT having access to that black market.
Yeah, that would be probably that or an EMP. Well, he's got the slowdown strike right in, so I think you're right. I think the network virus is the best move for him.
Well, 8,000 debt mule is just going to go after iron for the time being. It's an interesting decision with carbon being as expensive as it is, but PB is in a position where he's leaking iron right now, so potentially an acceptable one, I'd say. Man, PB trying to clean this up fast.
PB, I think, is shipping in some... He is shipping in some carbon.
Yes, he does have that already. That's why I was kind of okay with it, because carbon consumption not going to be that huge. So even with just one quarry, shouldn't take long to knock that price back down.
No.
Well, DT going to keep having his stock purchased by PB. He should manage to scrape together the money he needs to survive here. Slowdown strike really hurting him, though. Just the farm's the only thing actually making him money right now, and they're not very effective.
They're not at all, are they? But yeah, he should, like you said, he should make it. Maybe.
Still in a dangerous position, though.
Yeah, very dangerous. He's on the back foot.
Come on,
31,000 interest there. 20%.
Yeah, painful. Back into that D level.
Yeah.
We're doing a $1 challenge. Oh man, that's interesting. See, this is potentially a good decision out of DT, but it's so dangerous. Oh man, the second one I'm not so sure about, but PB sells out of DT with stock. So DT immediately sells out of himself, says, I need this money back so I can do things like upgrade, pay debt, try and move forward this game. But man, is he going to have time to buy it back up before PB just goes for the kill? I don't think so.
That's risky.
That's so risky. Is he going to pull it off, though? That extra boost in steel price might save him, and it does.
Wow. Wow.
Man. Bold decision out of DT there, but I really like it, because if you don't do that, you're just going to be behind. The entire game, you're already so far behind, you have to take a risk like that. And just go for it. I think it was a good move at the end of the day. I really like that decision.
This and use it on an enemy.
Yep, I like it because it worked.
Man, worked or not, like, you're that far behind, take a risk. You're just going to have to do it and deal with the consequences. Now, what I'm not sure about that move was the decision to commit the resources to HQ5 instead of an off-world market.
Well, from PB or from DT?
From DT, well, either of them, really. Like, was HQ5 the correct decision in this game? It becomes the question. Glass is still okay, but silicon's pretty high already. Oxygen and fuel have been bouncing back and forth a little bit, but nothing is super fantastic. So is HQ5 actually worth that commitment of resources when holograms are on the board and you can try to, like, force your opponent to deal with your off-world market?
Well, DT would be running a big risk there because he's got no access to goon squads.
It's true, but
and
when you're this far behind, I mean, you took a big risk anyway.
But given the price of O2, fuel's rubbish though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem.
I don't know. It's a difficult one to call there, I think.
It is. Regardless, PB is going to have his own off-world market down at this point. DT not looking like he's in a position to do anything of the sort anytime soon. And PB, big stock advantage in both price and stocks held. Big advantage when it comes to this off-world market play. Definitely going to have a cash advantage, it looks like. Things are looking pretty grim for DT.
Yes. Yes, they are. Looking very grim indeed. And he's going to be launching food. He's not going to be making a huge amount. I'm surprised he hasn't launched fuel there. Fuel is just slightly higher. Or even chemicals. Maybe
well,
food,
honestly, it's possible, like, they're so close, it's possible food
Yeah.
was higher than he bought 100 of it, and that drove up the price and changed what the next launch would be worth. It's so close, I'm not sure it matters all that much at this point.
You're right, it doesn't. It's neither here nor there. DT gone into a few more reactors. He could possibly...
It's a lot more reactors out of DT, but he's just struggling to find somewhere that'll actually make him money. And this is what we're talking about. On-world prices, they're all right. And the reactors are going to do fine for now. But of course, DT's the one who bought up the fuel to make these reactors good in the first place. By having those chem labs down for a long time. He's just struggling to actually truly pull in money. You can see DT's only sitting on about 35,000 in total right now. PB up at 150 with this Offworld launching.
That's it. A couple more launches, and well, maybe one launch, maybe two launches, and PB's got this game sewn up.
That's exactly what I expect to see. Electronics Factory's coming down from PB. I think that's an absolutely the right decision. Definitely a good thing to do with his remaining claims. And you can see, though, even Electronics Factory's not all that great. Just $78 a piece.
Yeah, they're one of the best money makers around, though, at the moment.
Yeah. DT is doing a good job of making use of the fact that he is a scientist with all these water tiles in this patch down here. But I'm afraid it's just not going to be enough. On-world price is too low, off-world market too strong, DT completely unable to attack it. And with an interest tick on the way, combined with this launch, I think PB's going to wrap this up momentarily.
I think so. It's one more launch and he should be there.
Yep. We're just waiting about 5 more seconds. DT holding on for as long as he can, possibly thinking through the game, possibly thinking through what went wrong, what went right, what can he do differently next time. But PB going to take game number 1.
Build power. Don't get into debt. That's my advice.
Yeah, you know, I hear debt bad, power good. It is worth pointing out that DT started that game with a very large amount of debt. I believe he paid over $40,000 in order to hit the board in that spot.
Which is fine. If you want to do that, you need to have a very detailed plan of how you're going to pay the debt back and how you're going to get some power down, because power is the easiest way to pay your debt in the short term. By ignoring power for so long, he made a rod for his own back. And going into the glass kilns as well, it was slightly naive, I thought.
An unfortunate decision out of DT. Understandable in a lot of ways. Glass kilns, I mean, they were in that moment making more money than the silicon, but just long term, not quite thinking through those next 3 steps of the game, unfortunately. Always an important thing to do in off-world trading company.
Yeah, but it's very rare that glass is going to make you profits, at least until HQ level 3 or 4, in my experience, anyway.
Well, in the 1v1, glass pretty much has to start at either $160 or have warehouses down, or preferably both.
Yeah.
In order to make a significant amount of money compared to other resources, unless the other resources are all just dead in the water.
That's right.
I didn't see any moderation in debt there. Oh, man. I like it.
Yeah, there was no moderation at all.
No moderation with the debt. No, not in any way. Well, that's game 1 down the drain. DT's going to have to see if he can pull it back in game number 2, I suppose. Hello, everyone, and welcome to game number 2 in our best of 3 series between PB Head and Death Tacticus. Power, food, I mean, look at these prices this game. That is interesting. Just aluminum and water starting off weak.
And there seems to be one scavenger location there. Oh no, there's a second weak one, but...
Yeah, one strong one, one weak one. Steel starting this expensive, though. I'd really want to kind of be able to abuse that in some way if I could.
Maybe a robot would be acceptable.
Yeah, I was looking to see if you could get away with Scientist anywhere. Players are going to take the 2 scavenger locations, though. So DT going with the weaker carbon, but gets strong aluminum because of it. Gonna leave PB Head the strong carbon location. And PB might struggle to access aluminum this game. It's very far away.
It's a long way, isn't it? A really long way.
But I think this is a really big deal about this game in particular. Aluminum, we commented, was one of those things, started very low in price. So PB, he doesn't actually need to collect any of it to move forward from HQ1 to HQ2. He just buys it up and immediately gets there based on the resources he had on found. That is a very big deal.
But moving forward, that's a long way to ship. And he's only got 2 there. I quite fancy DT at the moment.
DT got a very nice spot, but that second access to the black market, I'm curious. PB's got it now. He hasn't used the black market yet, will he? Goon Squad immediately for that geotherm. Potentially one of the times you can get away with such a fast geotherm. Office Colony, even in the scavenger against scavenger matchup, very cheap carbon, very cheap aluminum. Extra claim from Founding Second. Possibly going to get away with it this game.
And that is the only geotherm on the map? Yes, it is.
Really, really, really important that there's an office colony this time. 4 office modules. That is contributing very significantly to power consumption, actually consuming more power than either player right now.
That is going to drive the price up significantly.
Yeah, but once again, you can see the difference here. PB spent that money. Because he went for the geotherm, he felt obligated to get the goon. That's 3,000 out of pocket, plus his extra claim gone. Not making money off of something like farms the way that DT did very quickly this game. And so DT, despite hitting HQ2 second, easily pushes to HQ3 first.
Yeah. I think maybe PB has got a better foundation to work from, although, again, he is going to lose. The price of fuel has gone up massively because PB is shipping all of that aluminium in.
And that's the big concern with the geotherm, isn't it? It's always important to remember that something like your fuel consumption is going to get in the way of potential money you could make off of power production, because you've got to get through all that debt before you start making money, not just the debt that you got from power. It's a really big concern. I think you're absolutely right. The fact that this is costing him like 0.8 fuel a second?
Well, I would suggest that his power profits are negated, sort of evening out with his fuel costs.
Yes,
so
exactly.
He's basically breaking even.
Tries to get into some reactors, but up against a scavenger who's got that cash advantage.
That's...
DT, not going to let him have it.
No, he's not, is he? It's making the money. Instantaneous profit.
DT lets the claim go to PB Head for 18,000. I like that decision. That pretty much secures DT against this power money PB could potentially be making. And it's just, DT's just going to sit back and say, man, cash sounds nice. Why don't I just get a lot of that going this game?
He's got to watch his debt, though. It's $64,000 of debt and ticking up all the time because he hasn't got. Well, he hasn't got any power out.
Yeah, 600 to 700 a second right now for that debt. Gonna be getting wind turbines up, underground nuke onto some of the carbon. Gonna knock that medium down to a trace. A little bit late for me. See, this is the thing that could have happened so early this game. Don't take the geothermos, PB. Use your cooldown. Spend that 3,000. Spend it on the nuke instead of the goon squad. You've got all kinds of extra cash in your hand because you're not putting down that geotherm, and suddenly your opponent, he's going to be operating on less than 2 carbon a second. Very painful position to be in for a scavenger.
Yeah, that's it. Why is DT turned off his... He's turned his food off. Obviously he wants to make some easy, quick cash on water.
Well, going to be moving into reactors now. I think that's going to be just fine.
Uh-huh.
Fighting against PB Head's reactors here. I mean, food's still very expensive here. Like, look at how fast that price of food is rising. Colony is pretty good sized this game. 5 habitats already. And everybody consuming an awful lot of food. That price is just going to keep sailing up. Don't know if the transition was exactly the right call without having an alternate source.
Yeah, but the price of fuel as well. It's probably a good move.
3 water pumps for DT. I worry about that in a lot of ways. You can see, I mean, he got some quick cash off of it for sure, but now, what are those going to do for him?
Well,
Market is online.
he better hope that on-world prices stay sound because he's not going to be launching much off-world. He's still... He needs to get out of those aluminium. I don't know why he's still in aluminium at the moment.
Yeah, that is a big problem. You're absolutely right. See, this is giving up, unfortunately, for Death Tacticus. A huge potential advantage of having the aluminum close to your base is that you can get out of it, you can transition it, you can make money on those tiles. What if those were farms right now?
Yeah, I mean, all you do is buy a claim, and then he's got a nice little triangle of food or fuel. make some money, or even maybe get into power to what his debts. He's 123,000. He's
especially after that auction.
20% interest rate now.
I really like PB letting that go for 10. I really, really do. I don't think DT would have taken it for 14, and PB wants him to have this debt right now. Make him deal with this problem.
He needs to deal with it. He's D. That's it. He's in D now. Couple of ticks.
On little pirates out of PB. Not going to be doing much for him. I believe that he might have been tricked into that. Silicon price was being held very high. It wasn't actually all that high. Pirates come down.
No.
So does the silicon price.
Yeah.
New carbon tile, new nuke for him. PB spending underground nukes to waste DT's claims.
I just hope he gets some power out on those two dead traces.
Man, this fuel price for DT. When are people going to stop taking 3 water tiles so fast? PB's doing it now too. Water's at $1, guys. I don't know if you need that bad. I'm just throwing it out there, and that fuel cost is absolutely killer. A DT, man, both of them in reactors right now, but this debt is so massive. PB's just going to go for the kill, HQ4 to HQ5.
But DT should be able. He should have the money to defend himself.
He absolutely should. DT, really important to note that DT has split up his reactors. PB was only able to shut down one of those groups. Whereas PB, he didn't do the same, so he's actually been getting hit quite hard by black market this whole time.
Finally, he's transitioning in and out of that aluminium. Don't know how long that took him.
Way too.
Yeah, way too long. I think if he does lose, that is going to be one of the reasons.
I absolutely agree. Big mistake, I think. Especially because it would have been so easy to just not take a 3rd water tile and instead commit into a 3rd tile for this triangle, stay in those farms for the moment, maybe get in glass. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Just make something that's worth more than $1.
Well, food was at $300 a piece. It's just silly not to have done it a long time ago.
Absolutely. Speaking of silly things to do, I mean, once again, we're talking about how aluminum is garbage. PB doesn't have any of it stored up, but it's only worth $2 a piece right now. Think how much less debt he could have if he would just go ahead and turn off that mine.
Yeah, he's losing. It's got to be costing between 0.8 and 1 unit of fuel a second to keep those blimps in the air. Ridiculous.
D level of debt for both of our players, going to be losing out on their scavenger advantage unless they do something about that. If you're in this position as PB, do you just try and hold on?
I think you have to.
I mean, is that just the game plan? Just hold on for the ride? Let DT eventually drown in the interest charges?
Well, he's racking them up something ridiculous, isn't he? I mean, he needs to end it pretty soon. I think, yeah, that's definitely a path for victory for PB is hold on, let your opponent die to the interest.
Yeah, both of them are having a lot of trouble controlling it this game. I mean, DT has been auto-paying down debt this time, so has never had access to more than $10,000 at any point since he started that. PB, he did the same thing, though. He paid down a fair amount of debt himself. I have no idea what's actually going to happen for the rest of this. Oh, a patent lab coming down. I think we're going to see some financial instruments or teleportation. Probably financial instruments. Maybe perpetual motion? All these acceptable options at this point.
Oh, definitely. Any one of those is going to be good.
Hacker Ray on up. Plenty of power cost for that. We can see power continues to rise. Those offices always going to be relevant in this 1v1 situation.
Yep. DT, well, he's got his 2 wind turbines. Be nice, I don't know, maybe move into a couple of solar panels. Just take advantage, pay a bit more debt off. A couple of panels. Silicon's cheap. Oh, he's called it.
Yeah, DT calls it, says GG, well played, can't do anything. I don't know if that's 100% true. He is way behind. No doubt about that, but...
Both in similar amounts of debt, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, PB, I think it's just seeing PB's massive cash advantage in particular that's throwing DT off.
Well, it's 100k the difference.
But, I mean, that considered, PB also has a big stock advantage. He only needs 180,000 to finish off DT. Already over halfway there. Should realistically have a pretty easy time of cleaning this one up from that point. So DT is just going to go ahead and concede it. Gotta watch the debt. It's a killer.
Yep. Yeah, it certainly is.
And it's all just this fuel in particular. Players both letting fuel get out of control way too fast, consuming way too much of it with buildings positioned away from their base. I mean, we were talking about, it doesn't really look like much, but we're talking this triangle of water was consuming a whole fuel a second, constantly. And when fuel was $300, that was a very, very big deal. You combine that with just the elemental quarries having to pull in carbon from some distance away. It causes big, big problems.
Yeah, I mean, you got to question, why is he bringing his water in when he's got a water triangle next to his base? All right, it's not a high water, but like you said, when fuel was that expensive, he's paying a fortune for shipping where he could just run a hose pipe next door.
Yeah, big mistake, just after big mistake, I would say, from DT that game. I think PB gave him a chance by going for this Geo maybe a bit too soon instead of working with the nukes, but DT electing to go for the medium and low carbon, because remember, he got his pick of spots this game.
He did,
was the first one to found against underground nukes. I think potentially a really big mistake. And then just those few more out there, those aluminum mines being on too long, taking too long to get into power, securing water away from his base instead of using that which was close to him. One of the biggest advantages of this location is how close everything is. And then he doesn't abuse it. Very, very big problem. Lets PB walk away with it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. He set himself up really well, but never followed through with it for some reason.
Yeah, just poor follow through on that one. I like the found location in a lot of ways, but absolutely had to be executed better to follow through. PB just consistently showing that even if he gets kind of a lesser found, he understands how to play out the game from that point so much better than his opponents that he's going to pull it through anyway.
I think DT as well, he was late getting into power, which added to his debt worries, which not good, but hey ho. It's been a good couple of games, been interesting. Could have done better though.
Yeah, but it has been interesting, right? I mean, it's still, like, because both of these players, let's be honest, both these players, any of you guys in chat who don't know them, they'll absolutely destroy you if you walk into a game with them. I mean, 100%, no chance of you winning, period. So just understand that these are the kinds of mistakes that they can still make and that you can potentially find to abuse and take advantage of throughout those games. These are important things to watch for yourself. Things like the aluminum mine that's maybe shipping that doesn't need to be or could be transitioned. Things like not understanding the underground nuke interaction with medium carbon as a scavenger and how problematic that can be. Just little details here and there. Make sure you use the resources that are next to your base instead of the ones that are far away. They can make a really big difference and add up, even in 4-player and up games.
Oh god, yeah. The cost of fuel is so important, especially if you're bringing in resources from a long distance. Immediately they will turn something profitable into losing you an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
And it's a slightly hidden cost as well. If you don't fully understand how you're doing things, you think, why am I doing so badly? Why is my debt ridiculous? Probably down to fuel or power.
Yeah, always got to watch both of those. It's why, very quick for new players, since I know some of you are hanging around, this is a big reason that I recommend all new players focus on the robotic corporation first. You don't have to worry about fuel. You just got to worry about power. You don't worry about any other life support. It's a great tool to get used to playing the game before you have to worry too much about all that debt.
That's some good advice there, yeah. Very good advice. All your debt is just power. So long as you've got decent power going on, then
Gonna be all right.
Yeah, you are. You are going to be fine.
And more than that, you can always make power. If there is one resource in the game that you have access to 100% of the time, no matter what, and that's power. So always pay attention to it.
And that's it. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, exactly. And the robotic corporation is just so simple.
Yeah, so easy to use. Get used to the game, and then expand.